big picture. The big picture, Marilyn Freeman.
Thank you, Melinda. Say your prayers that the technology works. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Excuse my back. Melinda, do you want to perhaps move further down so that you can do it? Fellow Toastmasters, so you've all become Toastmasters and you're members of Coolum Toastmasters, a strong club that is growing. You may well know about other Toastmaster clubs in the local area. You may know that there's Coolum and Noosa, and two clubs in Maroochydore. There's Nambour and Cooroy, clubs close by. Many of you may have met members from those clubs. In fact, right now we have a member from Cooroy here. We have Clinny, who is also a member of Maroochydore. Jeff's a member of Maroochydore. So we know our clubs that are close by. But many Toastmasters only know what goes on in their club or the clubs that are just close by to them. And they don't necessarily understand the big picture. So what we're going to do tonight is we're going to have a look at this international thing that goes on with Toastmasters. We're going to see just what is this international bit about. We're going to look at the big picture. So let's look at some facts, first of all, about Toastmasters. Let's look at what you really have bought into, because it's more than just a little club. So let's look at some history behind. And let's look at where we're sitting today in Toastmasters International. So today, there are 15,500 clubs or more. And in those clubs, we have more than 332,000 members and across 135 different countries throughout the world. Toastmasters began more than 90 years ago, and it was started by a guy called Ralph Smedley, Dr. Ralph Smedley. And the reason he started Toastmasters was to assist young business men, I stress the word men, to improve both their communication skills, their leadership skills, and particularly their business meeting skills. The first club opened in California in 1924. And by 1930, they had quite a number of clubs going, including one in Canada. Whoa, suddenly that made them international. So they deliberately stopped and changed their name and registered themselves as Toastmasters International. You see, that's the American attitude towards being international. One club in Canada and you're there. I won't get into that. 1973, they allowed women to join. Now you might think, well, what on earth took them so long? 1973, that's only just over 40 years ago. But when you stop and think that another worldwide volunteer organisation, Rotary, didn't allow women in until 1989, you can see that the all-male directors, board of directors of Toastmasters International were quite forward-looking for the day. And in fact, our first woman Toastmaster was a lady called Helen Blanchard, went on to become an international president of Toastmasters. She actually joined before 1973, as quite a number of women did, but they joined under male names. Helen Blanchard, they tried to register her as H. Blanchard, and TI were having nothing to do with it. We want a name. So they chose her registration name in a table topic session in the club. And all the guys in there, and the winner was Homer. So for several years, Helen Blanchard was Homer Blanchard. Now, Toastmasters International is incorporated under Californian tax law as a not-for-profit organisation. This is something we need to be aware of, because regardless of where you are in the world, it's the Californian tax law that impacts Toastmasters International. And it is why you will constantly hear people talk about not too much money in the bank accounts, because they can audit from the US, and if they find there is too much money which would then preclude you from being a not-for-profit, then they could lose that status. And that means that they wouldn't be able to offer what they offer as for Toastmasters program at those low fees, which allows far more people the opportunity of being able to belong to Toastmasters. So it is quite a serious aspect that we have to consider. So there we are. That's some facts. So what we need to know is what I'm going to ask you. Who sits at the top of the tree in Toastmasters International?
El Presidente.
Saying you'd like it to be in your dreams, El Presidente.
It's the club members.
Yes. It's the members. It's you that sits at the top of the tree in Toastmasters, because without our members, Toastmasters doesn't exist. So members are of paramount importance. But when we look at clubs, throughout the world, the clubs are as varied as mankind itself. Now, all clubs work along the same parameters, the same focus of communication and leadership skills, evaluation to help ourselves grow, looking at impromptu. We all work along the same lines, but we all look to have our own individual take on it. And we all do things in different ways. Now, clubs do vary. Ours is a community club. It's open to anybody in the community who is 18 years plus. So you have to be over 18 to come and be a Toastmaster and come to Toastmasters meetings. And there's very good reasons for that. You also have to be able to perform your role under your own steam and not have to rely on others to help you to be able to do it. We have closed clubs. So corporations will have their own, can have their own Toastmasters club just for the employees as a self-development. We can have specialty clubs, so that we might have clubs in the city that are, well, one comes to mind, it's purely for IT people. It's called Agile, which I didn't know was an IT term, but they are for just IT people. There's another one that's just for accountants. And it's quite an exciting club, actually. So don't be too critical. So we have specialty clubs, like the Australian Tax Office has Toastmasters Club, and so does Rio Tinto, so does Energex, Powerlink, they use them for staff. We also have clubs for special groups. We just opened a club in Harvey, Maryborough, and it's called Good Day. And it's for people who have mild intellectual disabilities. Down on the south side of Brisbane, we have one called Southport Endeavour, and it is amazing. It is it works with Endeavour Foundation, and the people have from mild to extremely serious intellectual disabilities. And that is supported by a group of amazing Toastmasters. So our clubs are many and varied, and the people in them are, and the way they operate, and criteria. Sometimes we have an advanced Toastmasters club too, for those Toastmasters who want to push the boundaries a bit more. So there are criteria to belonging to certain clubs. However, regardless of our individuality, we have to maintain the brand and the service, as well as allowing for our club individuality. And how we do that is important, because we must keep on track so that we keep that Toastmaster focus, people growing their skills. We don't find the program wandering off and becoming something totally different. So how do we do that? Well, as we said, we have the tree, the club, and the members. And what we do is very similar to what many global big organisations do, where they break it down. They've got area offices, branch office, state office, regional office, head office. We do much the same, so that we can administer our widespread clubs. So what we have is a cluster of 4 to 6 clubs, and we call it an area. So we're in Area 16, and those clubs in Area 16 are the 2 in Maroochydore, this one, Noosa, Cooroy, Nambour. And they are led by an area director. And the area director interacts with the clubs, comes to the clubs, meets with them, chats, talks, and reports, puts in a report to TI, to district and TI, direct to TI, on how the clubs in the area are going. Then we take groups of the areas, about 4 or several of them, and we put them into one group, and we call it a division. So we've got 4 or 7 areas, which can be up to 36, 37, or maybe more clubs, and they're led by a division director. Now, here, up on the Sunshine Coast, we are in Central Division, and our division director, so they're all volunteer roles, she is based in Maryborough. And then the entire group is called a district, and they're led by a district director and 2 district officers. And the 3 district officers are known as the trio, and they support the entire district. Now, this is our district, District 69. What a small region. We're just all of Queensland, Northern Territory, and Papua New Guinea. There are the regions of the world. Now, if you think ours is large, look at Region 11. Now, there aren't a lot of clubs here in Africa and in Russia. None.
Wow.
But look at Region 13. Think of the population in there. That's the fastest growing region in the world, because English is the business language of the world, and that's what the other people want. So there are the regions in the world, and every region is supported by a region advisor appointed by TI. So Region 12, where we are, is made up of, this is ours, this here is now 2 districts. It's the new District 90 in the top part and District 70 in the bottom. This is District 73, both South Australia and Victoria and Tasmania. This is District 17, this is District 72. No, it's not part of Australia, but it's part of our region. So a little bit about head office. Head office is in Rancho Santa Margarita in California, which is a bit of a deserty area, and Dan Rex is our CEO. They have about 140 paid staff to look after Toastmasters, the programs, the manuals, and everything that has to happen. But these are the people who are the ones who set the strategic plans in place. And they are all volunteers, bar Dan Rex in the middle here. And as you can see, quite an interesting international group. It's made up of, every region has an international director, and then what we call the executive committee. There are these ones along the front here, not these 2 on the end there, and the others are all international directors. And this chappie here, Charlie Starrett, comes from down south, and he's our international director for Region 12 at the moment. And the executive committee currently are outgoing international president Mohammed Murad, the newly elected 2nd Vice President, Lark Doley from Texas, Balraj Aranasalam from Sri Lanka. Some of you may have met him at the convention in Maroochydore. My great mate, Mike Storkey from Airlie Beach. He is currently President-elect, and he will become the international President of Toastmasters International next August. And he will be the only 2nd Australian to do it. And the 1st Australian was Gavin Blakey, also from District 69. So yay, the Aussies. And our current international president, Jim Kokochi, from Canada. So there you are, ladies and gentlemen. That is the big picture of Toastmasters in a little over 12 minutes, I believe. So I hope it's given you more of an insight on what you really have bought into. It's an amazing organisation and it's a huge international one. Madam Chair.